Ecotone Software Consulting, and I got certified as a B-Corp just about a year ago. So it was an interesting journey, and having attended Civic Tech about a dozen times now, I saw a lot of alignment between the, I'll call it the two movements, and I wanted to share that with everybody because I thought it would resonate, and it seems like some of you are interested. How many people have heard of a B-Corp? Wow, excellent. Okay, this is just going to be. So I'll start with a question: who thinks capitalism is broken? Yeah, I'd say there's a general sentiment in society that climate change, the ocean's full of garbage, increasing inequity between rich and poor is the negative side effects of the prosperity that capitalism has created for the last 2 centuries, but we're starting to see and have been seeing for many years now the downsides. So, but right now it seems like there's a shift happening. People are recognizing there's a big problem out there, and businesses are starting to respond to that. And the B-Corp movement is really about recognizing that business can actually be a force for good. So B-Corps are the leaders who are using that tagline, business as a force for good, and the idea of creating shared and durable prosperity. So really, it's really about embedding sustainability into your business. So a B-Corp is a company that pledges to be profitable, but more importantly, to do it in a way that's good for the environment and good for society at large. Anybody here work for a B-Corp? I know Mike. We have Mike from Open Concept Consulting. Sorry, who are you with?
Carrot Rewards.
Carrot Rewards, okay. Carrots, got it. And there's another hand back there. Co-Power, excellent. Sorry, I didn't get you on the slide, but I think the two global brands that everybody will recognize would be Ben & Jerry's and Patagonia. And my friend Mohammed here is modeling. Do you want to stand up and show your shirt there? Patagonia, excellent. So these are two really well-known global brands. What I've also tried to highlight a lot of local Canadian companies. My favorite, Bose Brewing, which we'll hopefully enjoy some of their product later tonight. And a number of Toronto-based companies, especially in the tech sector. My Planet, 4G, and who else? And again, Mike's Open Concept from Ottawa. So right now, there's over 2,400 B-Corps globally and about 240 in Canada, and that number is increasing. And I'm hoping after tonight, we'll convince a few of you to join the movement. So B-Corp is a very rigorous certification, and basically the idea of B-Corp certification is to certify a company as being good for the planet, good for people, as opposed to something like a product, like a green product. It's certifying that the entire company is. So what are some of the reasons a company would go through the process? Maintain mission. So rather than if you ever get acquired, you don't lose your focus on that. Building credibility, the idea of avoiding the label of being greenwashing. It's really hard to become a B Corp. So if you're just greenwashing, it's way too much trouble. Sorry. Thank you. Cheers. The idea of benchmarking and improving your performance. Attracting and engaging talent. Collaborating with peers. Generating press and raising capital. I'm going to drill into a couple of these. So, whoops. Attracting talent. So the idea, a B Corp gives you or B Corp's a way to engage their employees in a much stronger way. And there's tons and tons of studies, and I'm sure McKinsey would be able to provide some of them that show that happy, engaged workers are more productive and therefore better for the bottom line of the company. A study is showing that 59% of millennials, I think a few of you might fall into that category, will actually seek out employers whose values align with their own. So it's a really important way of engaging staff. And the other thing, B Corps love to collaborate with other B Corps, but just in general, it's something that kind of is in their DNA. And it's really about building a network that you can help bring your work to a higher level and do the system level change that we're all looking for. So what's the certification process? It's really three main steps. So there's a very rigorous performance requirement, which involves something called the B Impact Assessment. It's about 200 questions you have to answer about your company. And it's not like you answer that and then you get certified. You have to do a 90-minute phone call with folks at B-Lab who go through every single question and really poke you and ask you to provide proof that everything you said on that assessment is actually true and verifiable and auditable. And it's said that it took me about 3 tries back and forth before I was able to get through that process. So it really increased my respect for the certification, having actually gone through it. There's a legal requirement. So in Canada, you would actually update your articles of incorporation of your company that say you're not just here to make money for shareholders, but you're obligated to look at all the stakeholders. So customers, suppliers, employees, and the wider community and the environment are all equally to be considered when you make your decisions. And then pay the fee, sign off, and put up your profile. So in terms of the assessment, there's questions fall under these 5 categories. So customers, are you serving people in low-income neighborhoods, environments? They want to know what you're doing to reduce your energy and greenhouse gas use, as an example. Community, are you supporting local charities, not-for-profits? Do you encourage your employees to volunteer? What's your governance strategy? Do you have a board? Do you report information to the public? Is there a way to people to complain if they have an issue with your company? And finally, workers. So that's all about diversity in your workplace, anti-harassment policies, minority and women-owned component of your business. And you can get points in all these categories, and there's no rule that says you have to get a certain number of points. It's just basically you need to get a score of 80 out of 200, which you think, oh, 40%, that's easy. It's not. So this kind of brings me to the why of tonight's presentation. When I thought about what I might want to present to Civic Tech is how would I position B Corps to an audience who comes to Hacknights every week. And it came to me as I see the common values between the two groups. Inclusiveness. Let's look around. I find this is a very welcoming and inclusive community, and B Corps are very much all of that. We're both about collaboration, and I think most importantly, we're all here for kind of a larger purpose. It's not like we're not here to make money. We're here to actually get something done that will actually benefit the broader society. Okay, and here's the last slide. Get ready for it. How can you get involved? Take action, drink beer, eat ice cream, wear Patagonia, but most importantly, talk to your management, the owners of the companies you work for, people you know in your life who run businesses, about how to become a B Corp. And I'm more than happy to talk to them and tell them why they should do it. Thank you. There's my contact information. Does anybody have any questions about B Corps? So I'll hand over to you first.
What was the hardest part for your company to adjust to become certified?
So the question was, what was the hardest thing for my company to adjust to? There was a lot of tracking I had to do. There was information I just did not have at my fingertips. Actually implemented a whole series of tracking policies. So I track every day I track my hours of what I do. I track how I commute to work every day. Car, vehicle, TTC. I track my donations. I track my volunteer hours. So it's a lot of tracking that I never did before, never thought about. Any question? Yeah.
So you mentioned donations now. My question is going to be all around what financial or tax benefits there are. B-Corp can also accept donations?
Sorry, so the question was about donations, but then about financial aspects.
Yes.
So in Canada, there's no legal B-Corp status. There's absolutely zero financial reason. I shouldn't say that. There's no tax reason. I think there's good business financial reasons to become a B-Corp. In the US, there's they do have what's called a benefit corporation states now, and that does give you a tax advantage. And so when I talk about donations, I'm just making donations from my company, which obviously does give you a small tax advantage, but no better or different than any other company. Yes?
2 questions. Are you ever informed when auditing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the question was about auditing. So when you actually go through the certification process, there's that 90-minute phone call I talked to you about. So before the call, they tell you, send us these 10 documents. Like, tell us about your suppliers, send us your financial statements, your employee breakdown. It'll depend on kind of what type of company you are. But B Corp, over and above that, does visit 5% of their members every year to do an on-site audit. And that would be something that would kind of get selected at random, and I would assume hasn't happened to me yet, but I assume they give you a couple weeks notice that they're going to show up at your door, and you better have your documents in line. Your second question?
The second question
Well, on their website, they have everybody's every B Corp score. So they tell the world how you've answered or you scored in each of those 5 categories in your point level. And so there was a question if you didn't comply. They're really not out to get you, and I don't think people would enter this as in a spirit of, oh, we're gonna trick people into making a B Corp. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense. So they would really try to work with you to figure out, okay, if maybe that question you didn't answer, or you misunderstood it, or you didn't answer it correctly. There are other ways that, other categories maybe you could get some more. So they try to work with you. I found them very encouraging. It wasn't like they were trying to block me. I felt like they were trying to help me. But they were, at the same time, doing their due diligence.
And then you come here for the last visit for Valley.
Mike's nodding his head, so I would assume it's happened.
For sure.
Yeah. Back? No. So you could literally get all your points in one category. That would be really difficult, but you don't need to score points in all the 5 categories. Sir.
Is it legal in Canada for corporations to make environmental or social decisions that don't maximize profit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the question was about, is it legal for companies to make decisions that don't just maximize the shareholders? And that's exactly the amendment you have to make to your articles of incorporation, saying it's not just about shareholder value, it's about the larger community. So that's actually a really important point. So there's this, this ethos that started in, who's that economist? Friedman, yeah. It was called shareholder supremacy. That's the only thing that a company is supposed to do is maximize shareholder value. B-Corp is totally pushing back on that. It's not just about the owners, it's about everybody. Yes. So the question was, what metrics do I measure for environmental, and what resources are provided by B-Corp or? Oh, okay. So I measure my greenhouse gases. So I find there's a couple of tools I've used online, including Project Neutral, Project Neutral carbon calculator. There's a lot of carbon calculators. And the other thing about B-Corp is they don't force you to do a piece of information. If you choose, again, you just need to make sure you get enough points. So I chose to highlight my carbon footprint because based on the type of company I do sustainability reporting. I should have mentioned that before. I help my clients do sustainability reporting. So it seemed totally natural for me to report my greenhouse gas emissions as kind of a good model for what I want my clients to do. And in terms of tools, you're on your own. But there's a lot of them out there.
I'm curious as to whether the requirements are different for sort of like huge companies or small companies. You mentioned like if you know any business owners, like I have a very, very small business, but it's very small. So like, is this something that I could do?
I would say absolutely. I mean, I'm basically, it's myself and my wife are the company. And there's lots of sole proprietors who are B Corps. I mean, it is a lot of work, for sure.
Are the requirements the same for any size of company or any type of company?
Regardless of the size of the company, you have to get 80 points. So, and in one sense, smaller companies might actually have an advantage because it's actually a little bit easier to measure some of these things when you're smaller. Now, you don't have a whole staff of people in various departments to do this for you. It's the owner, so that's the challenge I find with smaller companies, that of all the things as a company owner needs to do, this may not be top of mind. But the requirements are the same regardless of the size. And the red hat. I would say ideal. I would say probably not an oil company or a cigarette company or anybody who's mining blood diamonds. Like those are all the kind of things that will disqualify you from becoming a B Corp. But I think it's deliberate that they want any type of for-profit company to be able to become a B Corp. Part of the idea of building a movement is that this is something that hopefully in 10 years, every company is a B Corp. I mean, that's the real goal, right? Like we want to change the way business is done so it doesn't destroy the planet and make a mess of society. So, yeah, you
similar or competing organizations that offer similar services
competing.
Yeah, there are. I mean, conscious capitalism is one, but they're a different kind of organization. There's a global sustainability network that's
you.
There are some other certification programs out there, but B Corp is the one that's the most widely adopted internationally and in Canada as well. There's one that's built around the UN sustainability goals. I know that there's a program out in Vancouver that the United Way is organizing. There's conscious capitalism I mentioned before. There are a bunch of other B Corps that are B Corp type entities for evaluating companies, but it's B Corp is one that does have a very universally interesting and accepted impact assessment. And there's some parts out there for useful.
Yes.
Can anybody modify their articles of incorporation to become more holistic certification of progress or like that's business?
Um,
You can be a part of the B-Corp work.
I don't know a specific example of that, but you can make, your articles of incorporation are kind of really up to you. So you could absolutely do that. And I think a lot of companies, if you think about mission, vision, values that a lot of companies put on their website, that's how you articulate what kind of impact you want your company to have. Articles of incorporation are a pretty obscure legal document that nobody really ever looks at, other than the board perhaps. So I think mission, vision, values would be a better way to share that publicly. Going once? Great, thank you everybody.